Blessed day, guys, and peace be upon you this morning. So, in this video, I have a very important presentation for you guys. So, in every networking, you love to achieve high redundancy, high availability, and load balancing. So, in normal scenario or in our culture, we normally have multiple VLANs in our network. So, to achieve redundancy at the layer 3 level, we have to use various protocols. And one of the protocols that we're going to use is HSRP. So, in this video, we're going to configure HSRP with multiple VLAN. So you can remember clearly that in the first part of the video, we did HSRP for just without VLANs, okay? Alright, so guys, as you can see, this is going to be a long video because I want you to understand every concept of configuring HSRP for multiple VLANs. So if you're patient enough, kindly follow this video. It will really help you a lot. But if you're not patient, I'm sorry guys, this video is not going to help you. So without any further ado, I'll let you know that today we're in number 14, part 2, the final part, HSRP with VLANs. Because in every networking project that we'll be doing from now on, this has to be there. HSRP with multiple VLANs for high redundancy. Okay? Alright. So I'll open our notepad to write the steps that we're going to follow to achieve the objective. So draw the necessary topology, decorate, and comment. So I was thinking of a scenario whereby we have an ISP router connecting to the Google server, but our inside users want to access the servers, okay? And they belong to different VLANs. And these access layer switches are connected to two mat layer switches. So one of the mat layer switches should act as the active router and another the standby router or the backup router, okay? Alright, so just make sure you use a 2911 router, 3650 switches, mat layer switches, then 2960 access switches, okay? Then the normal computers and the server, right? Okay, so the step 2, configure IP address to the routers and the multi-layer switches. So guys, we are going to configure IP address from here going up, okay? First, before we go to the SVIs or the switch configuring the VLAN, okay? All right, so let's just do this interface, this one, and the routers interfaces, okay? Okay, so basically I'll start with this interface, which is gig 01. So gig 01, when you go here, sorry, you see this is a multi-layer switch. And which type of a switch is this one? 3650. 3650 normally doesn't have power supply, so just make sure you insert it. Make sure you insert it. Okay, all right, then just give it some time until you see it is turning orange, then from orange to green finally. All right, so when you go here, we want to configure IP address to this interface, right? Gig 01. So we just come here and click on gig 01, this one. Then we come and say gig 01 is by default a switch port. So we have to make it a layer 3 interface. So just say no switch port. Just issue a no switch port command. Okay. Then you say no shut. Okay, then we assign the IP address. So just say IP address to be in that network of 10.10.10.0. Okay, then I subnet mask of 255.255.255.252 and hit enter. Sorry, IP address should be .1. Okay, .1. Okay, because this is a network, and we hit enter. Exit, and you go to this switch and configure IP address to this interface, which is gig 01, gig 101. Okay, so we click on gig 01, come back here, and the first thing we do, just say no shut. Okay, then remember it's by default a switch port, so let's turn it up to layer 3 interface. Just say no switch port. That's command, no switch port, command. Okay. Then assign the IP address. IP address to be 10.10.10. This is .5 now. .5 with the subnet mask of 255.255.255.252 and you hit enter. Exit and you write. So we have assigned IP address to this interface. Okay, so let's do for the router interfaces. Okay, all right. So we identify which interfaces are these. This is gig 01, gig 02. So gig 01 should take 10.10.10.2. Then gig 02 should take 10.10.10.6. And finally, gig 00 should take 8.8.8.1. Then should be 0. 8.8.8.1. Okay. Then I want this one to be 24. Yes. Good. Yeah. So gig 01, 10.10.2. Gig 02, 10.10.10.6. Then gig 00, 8.8.8.1. Do it very, very fast, save time. Alright, so I've configured IP address to the router's interfaces plus the multi-layer switch interfaces. So when I go back to a notepad, the second step is to configure VLANs, name and assign them to the interfaces on the access switches and specify trunk ports. So we're going to configure VLANs here on these multi-layer switches, access layer switches. We name them, assign them to ports and specify trunk ports. So basically trunk port is the port that is connecting to the multi-layer switch. So for example, this is FA1, FA2. So FA1, FA2 on all of these switches are trunk ports. So I do it very, very fast to save time. Right? So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to configure trunk port first, then we do VLANs. Okay. All right. So I just go there and enable config T. So interface range FA0/1 to 2. Switchport mode access. Switchport mode trunk. Good. So I do the same for the two remaining switches, this one and this one. Very, very fast save time. Okay, so I've done configuring trunk on all these access layer switches. So let's create VLANs, name them and assign them to ports. So we said that FA1 to FA2 only trunks. So all the remaining ports to be access ports to be assigned VLAN number. So I just click here and I just say just do it very, very fast, save time. Time is money. Interface range FA0/3 now, because FA1 to 2 trunks, now to 24. There are always 24 ports. If I see the net ports on a switch, so just hit enter and just say switch port mode access. Okay, then I did wrong. So we just say we should have created VLANs first. So we just say VLAN 10 first. Okay, then we name it. We name it, let's say IT. Okay, then it's when we enter this interface file. It's when we enter that interface. So switch port mode access, then switch port access VLAN 10 zip and do right. So we do the same for all these two remaining switches. Okay, right. All right, so we've done configuring, naming and assigning ports VLANs. Okay, all right, so let's go back to a notepad. Create all the 3 VLANs on 2 multi-layer switches and specify trunk ports. So for the multi-layer switches, the trunk ports are those ports that are connected to the access layer switches. So for example, it's this port, GIGO2, GIGO3 and GIGO4. Okay, so just do that. Let's do that first. Okay, enable config T. So interface range gig 1/0/2 to 4. Okay, switch port mode track, exit, and do right. So we do the same for the other switch, right? Then we've been told to create all the 3 VLANs in the 2 switches. So we just go to this switch, just go to that switch and just say VLAN 10. I don't want to name them here, VLAN. Okay, so that's done. That's done. So let's go back to our notepad again. Create, that's done. Enable routing and configure interval routing on the multi-layer switch and specify HSRP parameters on the SVI. So guys, this is the main discussion of today's presentation. We need to enable routing. Remember, this is a multi-layer switch. By default, it's still a switch. So we need to make it act both as a switch and a router. So we have to enable routing and configure interval routing on the multi-layer switch, specifying the HSRP parameters on the SVIs. Remember, when we are going to configure intermittent routing on a switch, we need to create SVIs. So, while creating SVIs, we specify HSRP parameters on those SVIs, switch virtual interfaces. Okay. Alright, so let's enable routing and configure intermittent routing. Just go here, and for this switch, very simple. Just say IP routing. That's all. This is how to enable routing. That's all. So let's configure interval routing on all these switches. So guys, we need this one to be our active router. So when we are going to configure interval routing, we create SVIs and append the HSRP parameters on the SVI. So for example, I click on this router, and how do we create SVI? Let's start for VLAN 10. We just say interface VLAN 10 and we hit enter. Okay, so this is an SVI. Interface VLAN 10 is an SVI. Then the first thing we do, we assign it IP address. Okay, so VLAN 10 is in this network. Okay, 1 or something. So because we want this router to be active router, we assign VLAN 10 with the ISIP address. Okay, so VLAN 10 on this side will be with the lowest IP address. Okay, remember the virtual router IP address is 192.168.1.1. So the active router should be the one with the ISIP address, maybe 1.3. Then the standby router will be 1.2. Okay, so I do it very fast to save time. So just say IP address 192.168.1.3 with standard mask of 255.255.255.0 and hit enter. Then we specify HSRP parameters on the SVIs. So for VLAN 10 SVI, we specify HSRP parameter. We just say standby. Standby, let's give it a group number 10, okay, because it's VLAN 10, but you can give any number, it doesn't matter, okay, from 0 to 4095. So standby 10, then we give it priority because we want it to be the main path. Okay, we want it to be main. All the traffic from VLAN 10 will be go through this SVI, and this SVI is on this router, so it will be forwarded on this router. Okay, priority of 100. Okay, and we hit enter. Then standby 10 IP address to be 192.168.1.1. So this is where we specify the IP address of the virtual router, and we hit enter, exit, and now we're done with SVI number 10. Okay, so let's let's create another SVI for VLAN 20. Okay, so for VLAN 20, IP address should be let's say 2.3. Okay, 2.3. Okay, then priority to be 100. Priority, I want standby number 20 now. Okay, because to VLAN 20. Okay, standby 20, priority be 100. Then okay, then standby 20 again. IP address standby, I mean virtual IP address to be 2.1, the one that is here. Okay, all right. So it's very simple, just a little bit of understanding. So let's create the last SVI, which is for VLAN 30. Okay, so VLAN 30, we are sending an IP address of 3.3. Okay, then standby 30. Standby 30, priority of 100. Okay, all right. So standby 30 again. Sorry. So standby 30, priority of 100, then standby 30 again. We send IP address of 3.1 for the virtual route. Okay, and we hit enter, exit, and do right. So we are done configuring HSRP plus interval routing on this multi-layer switch. So let's go to this multi-layer switch, which will be our standby route. Okay, just click on it, and the first thing we do, we create SVIs the way we did. So we just say interface VLAN 10. Okay, then we send the IP address to be, remember, interface VLAN 10 on this side add IP address of 1.3. So this one should be having 1.2, the one that is a little bit lower than the other one. 102.168 168.1.2. Standard mask of 255.255.255.0. Okay, good. So let's include HSRP parameters on this interface. So we just say standby 10. Remember, the standby group, the group number should be the same as what you created on the other side. Standby 10, priority to be 90, because we want this one to be the active router. So we already allocated a priority of 100 here. So a router with the highest priority is the active router. Lowest priority, the lowest IP address, standby router or the backup router, and we hit enter. Then standby 10 again, standby 10 again. Then you give the virtual router IP address, which was 102.168.1.1, and you hit enter. We're done with that SVI. So let's create for VLAN 20. Okay. So what we do, we're setting the IP address of 2.2. Remember that this side interface VLAN 20 at 2.3. Okay, so here is serving 2.2. Yes. Then now standby 20, the one that you created on this side. Okay, standby 20, priority to be 90. Remember, and you hit enter. Then again standby 20, IP address to be IP address to the virtual router, which is 102.168.2.1. Okay, exit. So let's finally create SVI 30. SVI 30. IP address to be 3.2. Then standby 30. Priority of 90. Sorry. Standby 30. Priority of 90. Then standby 30. Virtual IP address to be 3.1. Exit and do right. So let's wait for 30 seconds and show the standby details. Okay, so my 30 seconds are over, so I can just say show standby just say show standby brief, and you hit enter. You can see on this multi-layer switch, all of the states are standby. Okay, and the active router are the one with 1.3, 2.3, 3.3, which were the IP address of the SVIs created here. You can see the priority here is 90, 90, 90, and group is 10, 20, 30 for VLAN 10, VLAN 20, and VLAN 30. Okay, all right. So when you go back here and show standby, show standby brief, you can see state is active, meaning this is our active router. Priority is 100, 100, 100. For group is 10, 20, 30. For VLAN 10, 20, 30. Okay, then standby is the IP address of the SVIs created on this standby routers. Okay, our virtual IP remains the same. Okay, so very simple, very simple how to configure HSRP for multiple VLANs. Very simple, just what I did here. Okay, all right. So when you go back to our notepad, configure SPF. So we need to configure SPF here, and here. So basically I want to start with the router. I can just say I just say label config T. So router SPF, let's use process ID of 45 today. Okay, then router ID of 1.1.1.1. then we advertise switch network of 8.8.8.0 with a wildcard mask of 0.0.0.255. then area 0. Another network is which one? 10, 10, 10, and 10, 10, 4. 10.10.10.0, 0.0.0.3, area 0. Another one is 10, 10, 10, 4 with the same wildcard mask, area 0. Exit and do right. Okay, so we go to this switch and this one to advertise how many networks? 4 for this switch, this one, and this one. For this one, the same, 3 plus 1. Okay, all right. So we just go here and config T. So router SPF 45 still. Okay, the process ID of router ID of 2.2.2.2, and we hit enter. Then you advertise the networks. The first network is 1 and 2.168.1.0 with the wildcard mask of 0.0.0.255, area 0. The second network is 3.0, so we just change this to 3. The third one is 2.0, and the last one is this one, 10, 10, 10, 4, that one. Okay, so another network is 10.10.10.4, 0.0.0.3, area 0. Exit and do right. All right, so let's go to this switch and configure SPF to advertise how many networks? 4 of them, like we did here. Okay, all right. You can see these as form adjacency with the above router. Okay, all right. So let's do it very fast, save time, and do right. All right. So we advertise all the routes in the network, and if you can just go in this router, you can see it as form adjacency even with the router. If you can just go here and say show IP or SPF neighbor, you can see I have how many neighbors? 4 neighbors. One is the router, and these 3 are, you can see there, for VLAN 10, VLAN 30, and VLAN 20 on the other switch. you can see the address 1.2, 3.2, 2.2. Those are the IP address of the SVIs on this side. Okay, all right. So what's remaining here is to ping and trace route the Google server. So I'm going here, although I didn't configure IP address here. Let me do it very fast, save time. So the default gateway here is the IP address of the of the virtual router, this one, which is here. Okay, also the default gateway here will be the IP address of the virtual router, which is 2.1. The default gateway here will be 3.1, the IP address of the virtual router. Very simple. Alright, so I've configured IP address to all of the host devices. So let me try to ping Google server. So when I come back to the first PC, you can see it pinged. Alright, so trace out 8.8.8.8. You can see it first goes to 1.3. 1.3 was IP address of the SVI here. Okay, can remember SVI here. So this is the active router. So what I'm going to do, I want to shut down that SVI so that this host no longer access it. So I go here and I just config interface VLAN 10. Remember the SVI here shut, just say shut. Yes, shut that way. Then I go back to the same PC and try to ping again the web server. It's pinging, right? Good. So let's try to trace route. Let me put it up. Can you see where it's now going? 1.2. Guys, it's so sweet. This thing is so sweet. It's a HSRP with multiple VLAN to achieve highly available network with multiple paths. When one path fails, another one picks up. Redundancy is achieved in this network. And guys, basically, I believe this video is really helping you now to configure HSRP with inter-VLAN routing, HSP with multiple VLAN. And when I go back here, I will mark that section as done. So when we meet next, we start on IPv6. So please subscribe to this channel, like this video, share with friends, and drop a comment in case you have any doubt, any question, or any suggestion. Bye and see you again in the next class. Thank you.